report, because you refer to elders. Can you just explain who you're describing? Because there's quite a lot of stuff about protecting elders and, you know, making sure they were looked after. Can you just explain who elders are?
Elders, by elders, we just mean older people. I think in South Korean community, there's a kind of respectful way of referring to them, and and not just as residents of care homes or vulnerable people, but just just as elder members of our community, older members of our community. I would note that this is not just something that we found in the South Korean case, but for example, in the Italian case, there was lots of references to protecting our elders as members of our community.
Yeah, it's interesting because in Italy there was big stress on that too, wasn't there? I mean, we have a stress here, but we tend to use vulnerable.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we can say over 60s or over 75s rather than elders, exactly. So it's an interesting, it's in some ways a much nicer expression. And also there's another phrase that you used that I was interested in, which was corona depression. I mean, what do you mean by corona depression? This is something they've been talking about in South Korea. What are they talking about?
Yeah, so that's become part of the press briefings and what the kind of medical and scientific professionals start to talk about the corona, being aware of corona depression. So what they mean is the psychological and emotional challenges that come with experiencing the pandemic, and not just the physical effects of the virus itself. So even if you didn't catch it, you are still susceptible to experiencing the corona depression. So things like loneliness of being in isolation, right? Unable to see your families or unable to see your grandparents, for example, for a long period of time, difficulties in doing schooling from home and not being able to see your friends, the uncertainty about when we're going to be out of this pandemic and you can get to travel again and be in school more freely. All of these things are being explicitly recognized as effects of the pandemic and effects of experiencing this pandemic. So it's really about highlighting the fact that the pandemic is not just about whether you get coronavirus or not, but it's a much broader struggle.